Well, hello, welcome back to the channel. I've come to a new woodland this morning, not too far from home, about 20 minutes, and it's Ryton Woods just outside of Coventry, next to Rugby. And the reason I've come here is I've recently signed up to the Wildlife Trust, the Warwickshire Wildlife Trust. They do a lot of conservation and looking after sort of nature reserves and wildlife around the area. So yeah, in doing so I'm paying a few pounds per month, so I'm supporting them in that effort. But also it gives me access to some woodlands that I wouldn't normally have access to in sort of the more obscure hours that landscape photographers are normally out. So this particular woodland is normally only open, I think, on the other side of the park a bit later in the day, really, when, you know, the best light isn't normally available. So yeah, I thought for a couple of quid per month I'd join and see, you know, what's around the local area, really, especially in these hard financial times where petrol and stuff just costs astronomical amounts. So yeah, nice to try and have a bit more of a look around the local area and see what's around. And yeah, I committed really the worst sin that a landscape or woodland photographer can make this morning, which is I was lying in bed, nice and cozy, and I could hear the rain absolutely lashing it down outside, and I came this close to not actually coming out this morning. Eventually dragged myself out of my pit, and here I am. So as I say, I've not been here before, so I have no idea what I'm going to find. Apparently it's a semi-natural ancient woodland, so I'm hopeful for some, you know, quite characterful trees. And to set myself even more of a challenge this morning, I bought something about 6 or 7 months ago, which is a new lens for this camera. What this is a vintage Pentax 50mm 1.7, which I've adapted to my A7R3. I bought, as I say, about 6 months ago. Never actually used it after I injured my ankle, so it's good to finally get out with it. And the reason I bought this lens, a couple of reasons really. One is to get me to try and hone my compositions a bit more and slow me down in terms of, you know, fine-tuning the composition. You know, with a zoom lens like a 24-70 or 24-105 that I've got, you know, you don't necessarily have to think too much about your composition. And what I mean by that is, you know, you can stand in one place and you can zoom in or zoom out. With this, your only zooming is your feet. So yeah, it'd be interesting to use. As I say, because of the age of it, it's completely manual, as you can probably see there. But yeah, looking forward to trying to see how it works. And the other benefit really is it's quite lightweight. There's no bulk to it at all. So it's one of those I can just throw in my bag and just go out and capture some photos. You know, because I'm doing landscape and woodland photography, autofocus and stuff like that just isn't important. So yeah, interested to see what kind of photos I get from this. Come to this bit of an opening here, and there's quite a few different sort of trees around. You've got silver birch, just behind the camera there's got this beautiful, really old oak tree, and some more silver birch there with some lovely autumn colours as well. Spent about 10 or 15 minutes just trying to get some ideas for a composition, but it's just not working. With this 50mm lens, obviously I'm very much stuck to this focal length, and trying to find a composition is proving to be very, very difficult. But that's part of the challenge, and I think, you know, if you can work with something like this and hone your compositions with something like this, ultimately can make you a better photographer. That's what I believe anyway. So yeah, this is a real challenge. I've not given up with this area yet. I do think there's something here. I just need to find it. So I've walked just a little bit around from that oak tree I was talking about a moment ago, and I've found quite a nice scene here. It's nothing particularly spectacular, it's more just a portrait of the oak tree, but it is a beautiful oak tree. It's got some lovely twisted shapes to it, just the sort of thing that I really like. So yeah, I think this could work out. Just had to sort of walk forward and walk back a bit to get the 50mm to get it in just right. But no, I think this is going to work okay. So yeah, the lens is fantastic. Love the manual focus on it. It's just such a lovely smooth action. I've used it for a couple of B-roll shots on the videos this morning as well. But I'm in f11 just to try and get peak sharpness through the whole scene. Shooting at half a second, I say 100. Normally, if I had my zoom lenses, I'd be all over this. I love a silver birch, one that's leaning into the scene, but short of walking through all this bracken, which I ain't going to do, it's just not a shot today. So yeah, it's an interesting task, an interesting challenge, but we'll leave that one for today. I have to say, this is a really interesting place, somewhere I'll definitely be returning to. There's just a complete mixture of trees around. I've seen a lot of oak trees, I've seen beech trees, I've seen silver birch trees, and the colours are just, you know, it's a right mixture at the moment. You've got a lot of green still, but you've got a lot of autumn colours coming through too. And I think I've only really scratched the surface of this place, to be honest with you, because I've reached this point here where I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different paths I could potentially go. So I'm in a bit of a predicament. I'm just going to try and follow my nose really, because I've got no idea where I am or no idea where I'm going. So that way I think is back towards the car. So I'm going to head somewhere over that way and see what I can find. So just to explain a little bit about what I'm doing, I've reached this piece of the woodland here which looks quite young. There's a lot of very young saplings around and it's just not very picturesque, to be honest with you. But I'm heading up a path up this way, and the reason being is because, if I can show you on the map here, and if it's going to come out on the camera, but I'll just brighten this up a bit, you can probably just make out that just over here there's like a kind of bit of the woods which has got some opening to it. So it might be a good place for me to have a little walk around and try and find some good compositions. That's my thinking anyway. That's what I tend to look for when I'm in woodlands. There's little places where I can get little pockets of openness where the light just streams through. So going to head up that way and hopefully we find something decent. I've made it to the area that I was pointing out earlier on the map where the canopy looks like it kind of opens up, and I'm glad I've come here. It's beautiful. So I found this scene here with these oak trees, and it's quite a complex scene, so I'll try and explain it to you as best I can, because you probably won't work it out too well on the camera here. But you've got this main sort of subject of the oak tree here with this branch leading over with these kind of twisted, gnarly kind of branches, and some more oak trees in the background. But then just beyond that, you've got some silver birch that are really quite big and dominant. Two of them right in the background there, in this kind of light area. You got that kind of leading through effect. There's one major issue, which is above this main branch here, there's kind of a few pockets of a sky breaking through. So I've got a couple of options of that. One, I might try and clone some of those patches out with leaves, or I might go for a bit more of a letterbox crop in post. I'll decide when I get back, and I might crop it off a little bit on the side as well, because there's a bit of dead space over there which is not really adding to the scene. So yeah, quite a nice shot. I'll put it on the screen now, but I think, yeah, this is one of those scenes that I think I might come back to time and time again, because I think in the right conditions this could be absolutely stunning. Just walked around from that other shot, and I found another shot here which, unlike that one, is not a complex scene at all. So you've got this silver birch here which has kind of got this nice little kink in it, with some lovely little dappled spots of orange colours from autumn. And then you've got a couple of more silver birch in the background that are kind of obscured by the leaves of this silver birch, but it makes quite a nice simple autumn scene. I think I might opt for a square crop on this one, because there's not really anything going on over this space over here, but just really, again, probably like the first shot I got earlier, more of a portrait shot of the tree. But yeah, still quite a nice scene, so I'll pop it on the screen. This little pocket here has so much potential. Every time I sort of like look around, I think, oh, there's potentially a composition there, or there's potentially a composition there, but just not today, not with this lens, not in these conditions. I haven't moved at all from my last photo. In fact, the photo I was just taking was just there. But I turned around and I saw this shot back here. Now, for me, I think this might be my favourite shot of the morning. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. There's this oak tree here with some lovely, kind of just subtle golden colour just draping down. And then just beyond that might be another oak tree, but it's got, the bark is all kind of lit up. But what I really like about this scene is down here. This bracken, this array of colour in the bracken. You've got yellows, oranges, greens, but they're kind of all arcing around this scene, and you've got quite a few of the ferns kind of just leading you through the scene. Yeah, I really like this. I'm not too sure about this big holly bush here on the right hand side, just there. But yeah, I don't know, it might act a bit like a natural vignette, is my thinking. But we'll see. I really like the scene. There's another tree over here which I'm going to cut out the scene, but I have got the branch that's coming off it just sort of kind of coming down. It's a bit sort of gnarly and twisted and kind of pointing into the scene. So you've got all these elements kind of just pointing towards that central oak tree and the one beyond. So I think it's quite a complex scene, but I really think it's going to work. I think I'm going to start heading back towards the car now. If I get any shots on the way back, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'll speak to you when I get back to the car. Made it back to the car, took a bit of a scenic route just to see if I can find any other shots on the way back. But the weather's completely changed. It wasn't predicted to be sunny today, but now we've got big bright blue skies and absolutely sweating. But what a fantastic morning. I've really enjoyed just exploring a whole new woodland to me. And somewhere I can easily return back to it. Like I say, it's only about 20 minutes away from home. And I'm sure there's so many more compositions in there that I just haven't even come across yet. So really enjoyed it. And I think I actually got a couple of images that are going to work pretty well. Probably ones to return to as well in the future when the conditions are just perfect. But either way, definitely returning here. Absolutely love it. Just wanted to mention about the lens as well, the 50mm. That's been an absolute challenge to use, but an absolute joy as well. Just the simplicity of it, you know, the manual controls. From what I can see in the back of the screen, it's pin sharp, and yeah, it's just a great way of trying to fine-tune your composition skills. So yeah, I think that lens was made somewhere between 1977 to 1984, and was part of the kit lens that came with the old Pentax cameras, and they don't make them like that anymore. It's absolutely solid. So I think I paid about 20 quid for it, which is nothing. So hopefully the images that I took today turn out alright with that lens. One other thing I did just want to say was about the Warwickshire Wildlife Trust, or indeed the wildlife trust in your area. I think I'm paying £3.50 a month, but it gets me access to places like this, you know, out of hours. I've seen probably one person this morning, and yeah, it's almost like I've had the whole woodland to myself. Absolutely fantastic. And the car park I'm in now, I'm literally the only car here. So yeah, definitely check out your local wildlife trust. You know, for £3.50 a month you can help them, but also get some benefit to yourself in getting access to places like this out of hours. But anyway, I'm waffling on a bit. I just want to say thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.